Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Free. We've got an outstanding panel this morning. To my right, Miss Becky Alley.
What is going on, everybody? Good morning.
Good morning to you, Becky. You're outstanding. John Kolb joins us.
Hey, guys. Happy to be here. Happy Saturday.
Of course, you two guys are top 1% of all mortgage originators in the United States. That's a pretty big, cool saying there. And look who you bring in, Renee Lasiacho. Of course, Renee, always great to have you in.
Love being here. Thanks for having me
again. Thank you. RLA Real Estate Group. You guys are outstanding. She's a luxury realtor. She'll work with your whole group. Will work with anybody. We are going to get into it for 1 hour, make it a fun mortgage real estate show, and talk about a lot of great things out there, Becky.
I'm pretty pumped up, and we're rounding out my birthday week. And when you know Renee's in the studio, you know it's going to be a good time because she's always showing up like $1 million freaking bucks.
That's a lot of pressure, but I hope I can live up to it.
Oh, well, for sure.
Well, I'll tell you guys, in today's real estate world, everyone's making predictions. Boy, I wish we just write them all down so they can point to them and say, I was right, and everyone's got a crystal ball. Of course, we bring you in to give us a quick update on where we're at here. Headed into August, already on Monday. We're already into August already, and 2022 has been really interesting.
You know, the last 3 years have been interesting to say the least, and this is not the exception to that rule. Absolutely. The year of the volatility has not ended. We are seeing, obviously, the increased interest rates. Our inventory levels are still low. The Fed is certainly doing what they can to try to, I think, temper this crazy market. But with the demand being what it is and the limited supply, I don't know that that's actually going to be the answer. We still have a considerable amount of demand across the board. And even if prices are now adjusting a little bit, even if you remove 50% of the demand, you still have a shortage of supply. So the stabilization of prices, I think, are going to stay throughout the year. Certainly correct a little bit, which is healthy for everybody, buyers and sellers alike. We need to see something a little more balanced and so that you can breathe a little more easily when you're looking for those homes. We're seeing longer days on market and some real opportunity out there.
But when you say correct, do you mean that the prices are actually going to come down, or does correct mean that we're not going to have the over asking prices or, appraisal guarantees $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over asking? I'm seeing more along the lines of $10,000, $15,000 over asking and not as much competition, and keeping the closer to what the listing agents have the price listed at. So that's where I'm seeing the correction coming in.
You're absolutely right. So about 3 months ago, even in the first and second quarter of this year, we were doing, open houses and within pretty much 72 hours. If you did not have multiple offers over asking, and we were already at 25% increases in some of these locations, so you were getting offers that were absolutely insane and multiple offers. In the third quarter, and especially in the last 60 days, that has taken a big shift. So we are seeing some impact of, I don't know that it's necessarily the interest rate change, because if you look at it, we're still at historic lows. Mm-hmm. I mean, 6.5% people are crying over. It's because we've gotten spoiled for so many years at 3% and 4% interest rates. 6% is still a great rate, but it's more of a combination, I believe, of what we're seeing as a potential recession, plus inflation, plus uncertainties of a general economic correction, that people are now pulling back a little bit. We are still getting close to asking. We are still getting, in certain circumstances, over asking. But the name of the game is absolutely pricing your home correctly. People have thrown out numbers because they're hearing, I can go $5 million over what my agent said and all of a sudden get this offer. That's not the case. In any situation, pricing is going to drive your demand, and it's going to create your results. So there is really where we're seeing a little bit more of a balance. You're seeing 14 days on market, which feels like a lifetime.
I know, they're like, yes, oh my God,
I know.
My house didn't sell in 5 days.
Right.
The reality is, like what Renee is saying, it's so true. The interest rates are not going to be what is going to keep a buyer from buying the home. It was the over asking that was completely unsustainable. The going in over $30,000 over asking. You're a first time home buyer, and in your mind, you're like, oh man, all I need to get is, let's just say, $10,000 to buy this house, and then you actually enter that market 6 months ago, and you're like, well, crap, my $10 isn't nothing. My $10,000 isn't nothing. Really, I needed 40, 50, and that was really hurting these first-time homebuyers. And now it's the interest rates. Okay, affordability is the question. With you can't rent and all that stuff. So that has pushed people that were renting into the buyer's market. But you're right, 6.25%. That is still historically low. And your payment, yes, it's going to be $200, $300 more than it was 6 months ago. But you're not going to lose out on homes. You just have to pull in what your actual affordability is. What is your monthly monthly payment, be married to your spouse, not your house kind of thing. You have to be smart with your budget.
Absolutely. And I think what we were seeing, Becky, you're spot on, is a lot of buyer fatigue. There was frustration.
There's financial fatigue.
Financial fatigue, buyer fatigue. They're going from house after house after house trying to make these offers, escalation clauses. All these things you're mentioning, the appraisal waivers. It's an unhealthy way to buy a market, to buy a home.
Yes.
And so what we're seeing is just a little bit more of a balance, and people can now take a deep breath, look at a house, for more than a minute, make some good decisions, and that includes also making an inspection contingency, getting your appraisal. You can do that in a limited amount of time. I know these gentlemen are the best, and they can, and Becky, you guys can create all of those things within a shorter amount of time. So I tell people, do a due diligence, get those answers, because you are buying a huge product. This is something that you are, if you need to adjust your price point. But people were, I think, being pushed out of the game because it was just too cumbersome. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was too much of it was the creativity of on the buyer side, right? How you're gonna get those offers accepted, but then on the lending side, it was the creativity that we had to find to fit that affordability. And when the rates were lowest they've ever been, yes, it was giving buyers a lot of buying power. They were buying homes that they never thought they could afford, right? Well, now the interest rates are up 3% since they were at the beginning of the year, but you can still buy these homes. So maybe your $250,000 house now is maybe your $210,000, your $220,000. That's still a lot of home that is beautiful, and you don't have to come in over asking, so it's not going to be as intimidating in this kind of market. But with what Renee was saying earlier, there's not enough inventory regardless. So it is still going to remain a little bit more in a seller's market, even though they are trying to balance it, but you can breathe a little bit. It's like we're going 1,000 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden we peppered the brakes for a second. We took a breath, and now we're right back into it, because now everyone just reassessed the situation, but it's still competitive, and you want to make sure you're getting pre-approved in advance, because you have to be ready to act regardless.
We've had red hot temperatures across the United States, red hot real estate market across the United States, a little bit of a breeze out there. It's not quite a cooling off of the market, just a little bit of a soft breeze. How about 4 things, crucial indicators, John, really taking a look at that inventory? On the mortgage rate side, a little bit of relief. They're back way under 6%. Opportunities to get really close to 5% now. So that smells pretty good moving forward. And then, of course, very noteworthy is the shift in the industry right now. And if you're educated, you can shift and move pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand how these rates are working, right? The Fed just increased the Fed funds rate by 0.75 of a point on Wednesday, but we already had that built into our rates. So what happened on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? The market actually came back a little bit and corrected, because the Fed did what everybody was anticipating, and they had overcorrected the market, so the rates were a little bit higher than they should have been. So now they've come down a little bit. So this is the kind of stuff, when you see that Fed funds meeting, or the Fed meeting, and you think that rates are going to go up, and you think you should lock in the Tuesday before because they're going to increase rates. Sorry, you missed the boat by about 3-4 weeks, because they've already baked those increases into the rate. Sure. So, you got to be savvy enough. Talk to your team. Get with us. We are not charging you to $500 to sit down and have a conversation like a lot of these other lenders are. We want to make sure that we build relationships. If Renee sends me one of her clients, one of her friends, I'm going to treat them like they're one of my family. I'm not going to sit there and say, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to you until you give me $500, and run your credit, and then send me all your docs, and then I'll get you an answer of no 3 weeks later.
An answer of no,
right? And these lenders they've got people just sitting in their seats, not knowing what they're doing. We've got 20-year veterans in this booth right now, and that's what you need to be working with, people who are going to treat you like how you want to be treated.
I want to touch on something real quick. So we're talking about the Fed interest rates, and I want to kind of just hit everyone with some knowledge, right? So the Fed has increased the interest rates, the up 225 basis points since the first of the year. Okay, so what does that mean to you? Okay, well, every 0.1% is going to affect an 0.125 affects an interest rate by a quarter, right? So that's why you're seeing these increases, right? So, but it doesn't always negate what the interest rates are doing. It mainly affects like temporary interest rates, like your HELOC loans, credit cards, things like that. But it did have a little bit of effect on these interest rates. And we've talked about it before, but this was supposed to be a very gradual increase, right? Well, it was supposed to start happening in 2020. Well, 2020, COVID happened, and it pulled that rubber band back. Well, now the rubber band's snapping and we're seeing this accelerated increase in a very short period of time. So that's why it seems a little bit more intimidating.
All right, Fed funds rates goes up, mortgage rates come down. When we come back, we'll talk about buying and selling that house and how it affects you. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome back to the show. Of course, my headphones fall off. We're always gabbing over here talking mortgages,
Well, the
real
real
estate.
show is really in between the show.
Yeah, there's a whole other show going on here. But you are listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. Renee, of course, joins us. Renee Lassiacho. She's great. Max Brook Realty. One of
Such
our
a fun name to say.
Whoa, let's back that up.
Did I say something?
Domain.
Keller Williams domain.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, good.
It's all mixed up.
It's all mixed up.
If you ever want to see Harvey buckle under pressure, it was just a minute ago. Right? The
Headphones
show's
fall
coming
off.
back on. He doesn't know what's going on. His headphones fall out of his ears. He's on the floor looking
Renee,
for him.
you're crushing it like always. We want to hear from you. We started talking about the balanced market. It is a more relaxed market, a lot better for sellers and buyers because a lot of our sellers are buying houses. And when we do feel that coming into August and sort of creeping into the fall here of 2022.
Absolutely. And you know what? A balanced market is usually when you have about 6 months of inventory on a market. That's your perfect balance between a buyer and a seller's market. We had been less than a month for a long time. That's why you had one home for every 40 buyers. There are buyers out there. Our demand is absolutely there. And what John and Becky were just mentioning, you just have to adjust accordingly. So if the interest rate has gone up, one of the things that you should absolutely be doing is what John was mentioning. Keep in relationship with your lender, because if I get an offer on something and that pre-approval is, let's say, 2 or 3 months past, let's say it's in, even May, that's a whole different pre-approval. So you want to know as a buyer what your real affordability is and what your real cost is, because, a point or a half a point or whatever it is on your mortgage can certainly shift that. And we want to make sure as a selling agent that I can sell this home comfortably to a buyer who knows what their payment is. And that's where the relationship between awesome lenders like these guys is going to make the difference in making sure that you as a buyer don't get, caught in the confusion of an interest rate change. But the demand is there. We're seeing people move from price point to price point, not come out of the game. So if you were a $500,000 buyer and now you're a $450,000 buyer, you're still a buyer, but you have to make sure that you're keeping that relationship up with those lenders.
And the reality is, like, sometimes the $500,000 buyer 6 months ago, they were really that $450,000 buyer, but they were trying to bump it up because they knew they had to compete with that higher price point, and they had to make sure they were qualified for that. So really, it's not really, you're not losing what your true buying power was. You're just reevaluating and reassessing your situation, which is what you always have to do. And let's be real, buyers, you are trying to push the envelope, right? Most buyers are trying to be a little bit, push it as high as they can because they want to make sure we know what the max absolutely is. And part of that is that constant conversation. So when we're pre-approving you, we're going to tell you what your max is. Now, that doesn't mean that's what you have to do. And a lot of times there's things that go on behind the scenes. Maybe only one buyer is on the pre-approval, but it's a dual income for whatever the reason. So we know that you can truly afford the home. And that's really what it's about. It's about making sure that you're living under your means, then even at your means, and just making sure we're always setting you up for success, with someone like Renee. And, when you're even for the future, it's not just what you're doing right now, it's what you're doing 5 years from now.
Right. As a buyer, remember, buyers out there, the listing agents have no idea what your offer really entails, right? So that's why when a listing agent calls and speaks to the lender should be available to be able to take that call, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, and to explain exactly what we're doing, right? We used to write pre-approvals at the beginning of the year at 5% down. They'd call up, why are they only putting 5% down? Because they've also got a $50,000 appraisal guarantee. So the loan's only 5% down, but if the house appraises, it's actually going to be a 10 or 15% down loan. Also, explain like Becky just said, yes, it's one person on there, but it's dual income. They're going to be a successful homeowner. This is what the listing agents want to hear and know when they call you to find out what kind of buyer they're actually dealing with. Not just somebody that they have no idea who they is and it was just a piece of a pre-approval written on a piece of toilet paper. We have intimate knowledge of what our clients have gone through and what they're going, because we sit down and we talk to them for 5-10 minutes on the front end, pull the credit, call them back, go over it again, get their docs, call them back, go over it again, make sure that we are getting involved so that everybody has the right answers and we can make a successful transaction for everybody.
The reality is, too, that sometimes highest is not best. I have a couple clients right now where we won because our name was on the pre-approval, because that confidence is better, because who cares if you're coming in the highest if the loan doesn't close? Nobody cares.
100%. I tell people that all the time. When we're in multiple offer situations, my first sit down with my clients is always, don't look at just the number. You have to look at the team involved, the lender. Are they good? Do we know they're going to take this across the finish line? Or is that, like you said, just a piece of, toilet paper with some scratch on it. We need to know that people like you guys, Becky, John, you guys are able to take this across. We have a relationship. You have a longevity in the market. You understand the market, and we know that you've had a conversation with that buyer that they really understand what they're doing, so that they are confident about what they're purchasing. So a lot of times, the terms of an offer, if you know that the people need to be in that house for a little bit longer after they close, and the way, if there is an appraisal guarantee or not, the whole picture has to be evaluated, and it is a strategy. And what you guys do is strategize with your clients. That's what I do with my clients. Is we sit down and we make a game plan. I don't throw up a sign. I don't just take a picture and say, okay, we're ready to go. There's a complete strategy that in this market, especially if you don't have an A team behind you, and that is your lender, your agent, your inspector, whoever it is that's bringing together the team that is going to take that across the finish line. It's not a one-man show, and you cannot go into it that way, or you will lose these offers time and time again.
100%.
Definitely, immense communication is a guarantee. You got to have that. Again, we always say if your agent doesn't sound like this, definitely get one that does sound like this.
Reevaluate your life.
248-539-9797. Again, if you're selling your house or buying a house, we want to hear from you. We can help you save money and get everything set up the right way. We talk about embracing this healthy competition. Well, great agents also do some other things. They collaborate with the other great agents, and that's how you get your offer accepted. And that's all part of this. You just really can't click these Zillow buttons or whatever those companies are. Those leads are nasty. And again, as more and more I'm talking to the families out there, more than 90% of the time, those families don't even qualify for mortgages. Talk about this collaboration you have with all the top professionals.
It is absolutely crucial. We started this, a group of us, back in 2004 when the market was hot, and boy, did it carry us through 2007, 8, 9, and every market. I love when people say, oh my gosh, we're going into a shifting market. Well, here's a little news flash. Every market is a shifting market.
Oh my God.
Every day.
I'm so glad you said that.
It cracks me up.
It's shifting to people that have never experienced it before.
Right, but we're in a shift right now. We shifted into a very heavily sellers market.
Yeah.
You are always in a shift, and the more you're educating yourself and the more that you understand how to pivot, regardless of what it is, then that is called survival, and that's called professionalism.
I call it pivot or perish.
Yeah, and you are always pivoting. So people right now who are getting concerned about it, I'm getting ready to teach a class for my company called Shift Happens, because it's always happening. And so, yes, you have to have an agent who is not just a good agent at listing or selling your house, but who knows how to network, who has relationships with people, with lenders, with inspectors, with appraisers, with people who are going to help you. And when you go out there to list your house, even in this market where people are thinking that you can throw anything out there and get top dollar, that is not true. It is more important in every market. It is crucial, and this one's no exception. We start with staging every house. We go in, we clean it up, we move around furniture, we take certain things down. We do what we call photography staging. It's not about what I like or what you like, it's what the photos like, and you've got to make it photo ready, because that's your first introduction to that property to the consumer out there. You stage it. You have the right professional photographer. Anybody who comes in your house with an iPhone and starts snapping pictures,
oh boy,
you need to fire.
Run.
Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it. And you also, people now are waiving their inspections, which gives me total heart failure. Don't waive your inspection. There's ways around it, and a professional will help you figure out how you do this in a smart way. And sometimes I even have my clients do a pre-inspection so we can provide that to people, because even as a seller, there's some liability there. There's some risk if somebody doesn't do an inspection, and you want to make sure you're presenting your property in the best face you can.
I want to touch on that real quick. So I had a buyer, and he waived the inspection, right? So I have a conversation with him after. I'm like, is there anything that you're anticipating coming back? Because I noticed that you're not having a private home inspection. And he was like, no, everything should be fine. Okay, great. So we get the appraisal back, and the appraiser just flagged, and this is conventional too. So regardless if you're FHA or conventional, an appraiser has a due diligence. They are going to always flag health and safety concerns, the overall structure of a home. Well, he walked on the floor. It felt a little soft. And it came out that there was water in the crawl space, and now there was possible mold, and we're doing all those things, and so now it's butting up against our purchase agreement date. He's in a position where he needs to get out of the home, but you can't close on a house that has mold in it, right? So all these things are coming out when they could have come out weeks beforehand and it's falling on my lap now, then we have to adjust it. So the sellers are fixing the mold and things like that. But what Renee is saying is do your due diligence up front. Do yourself a favor, because at the end of the day, losers react, winners anticipate. Okay. And if you're trying to win, you need to anticipate worst case scenario and set yourself up for success.
A lot of first-time buyers don't have the additional funds to make up for a mistake.
Yeah.
Again, if you're going to rehab the house, if you're knocking it down, if you got $50,000 to $100,000, that money can fix a lot of problems. But what we know with first-time home buyers, a lot of them are go ahead and extending themselves already.
And they're influenced by who they're surrounding
boy.
themselves with too, as well.
Okay.
Like you're saying.
And
Who
an
wants
eight-
to go through that? I mean, who wants to? If I'm a seller, I want to make sure I'm putting a good product on the market. I know how much love and energy Becky, Harvey, Renee, myself have put into our homes. I want to make sure that people know what they're getting themselves into. So, like Renee said, I'm gonna listen to her, and I'm gonna get as a seller, I'm gonna get a home inspection on my home before I list it, so
Yeah.
that she knows everything that could pop up. I know everything that could pop up. And if there's anything that I can fix quickly so that these people that are buying my house get in and can be successful and don't have to worry about it, I'm on it.
And
It's a liability.
Yeah,
too.
it is huge.
It's a
And
liability.
It's huge, and it turned into something that is turned in unfortunate, right? So we're
Right.
trying to uncomplicate a complicated situation. We're going to work it out. The sellers are now involved, and everything's being fixed. But at the same time, that now pushed us 2 weeks behind what we were anticipating. It's no one's fault. It is what it is now. But the point is that you want to know, if you're buying your home and you're investing, it's your biggest investment, most people's biggest investment. You want to make sure that you can sleep in there and you feel good about your decisions, and you're not, walking into something that you have to tear down because you thought, waiving a $500 inspection was going to put you ahead, when in reality it put you behind.
And there are ways around that. And this goes back to having an experienced agent who is going to help guide your process. So oftentimes, if we're in a compete situation and my buyer really wants this property, what we tell them to do is a structural, mechanical, or environmental limitation on their inspection. You can even make it 3 or 4 days, but you have to do this for your security.
All right, we're going to talk about
I wanna hear more about that.
CYA, the old CYA here. Make sure that your money's spent well. Keep it in your back pocket. All right, you got it, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. When we come back, all your calls, 248-539-9797. We'll be back. Alrighty, we are back. Thank you for listening. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you again by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. That's right. We offer every single mortgage available, top 10 lender in the country, right here in your own backyard. Give us a call, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage bank, or you can definitely catch us there live in the studio at 248-539-9797. Renee Lacia-Acha joins us from Keller Williams Luxury Domain. And you guys opened up a brand new gorgeous office on Telegraph. Got the Birmingham office, which is dynamite. Really cool place to hang out. Love the balcony. And now you got you guys another place, even more gorgeous.
We do. We're very excited and very proud in less than 5 years to have 2 locations. We have a Bloomfield address right on Telegraph. Great new building. Spent some time and money in beautifying that piece of property. And we, of course, still have our Birmingham location. So very proud to have 2 great places for people to come, work, and sell some fantastic homes to our incredible.
You guys can jump on Telegraph and basically sell a house anywhere. You're going to be there in 15, 20 minutes, right? If you make the lights. Now, if you go like 50 miles an hour on Telegraph, you'll make every light or something like that. All right, we got tons of information to still share with you. Again, if you're looking to buy or sell a house, definitely give us a phone call. Home values have gone up. There's a lot of people whispering in my ear throughout the weeks. Becky, you're hearing it. John, you're hearing it. I'm waiting. They're waiting for some prices to go down. And again, we'll talk a little bit about this recession and inflation, but prices going down, how's that going to happen?
And they are, here's the deal. You know, we have people, I think historically we have had a seasonal market, especially in Michigan, right? You have the spring market, March, April, May. Then you have the summer selling season. I crack up because I tell people all the time, Michiganders vacation in July and August. It's usually crickets because it's the last hurrah we have for a very short summer to use those vacation homes or, you know, swim clubs or whatever. So it's real quiet. Then we usually see a pickup again right after Labor Day. It's like the lights go back on and everyone decides they're going to go back to work. And so things start to pick up. And then November, December, it's holiday season. And January is usually like the prep work for the spring market. Well, that has been pretty much out the window for the last few years. What we're looking at is really a market that is responding to situations. It's a reactionary market. If the interest rates change, if the stock market changes, a war, a whatever it is, people are looking and they are paying attention to situations, and that is determining what they're going to do. So with all the talk and hype about inflation, and the Fed is certainly, it's almost like a self-induced economic coma that they're looking to create to hamper
such a good way of putting
growth. You know, they need to figure out how to slow down this market, and one of the things that they're looking at is creating this inflation and creating the interest rates, which, you know, I'm no economist, but I can tell you I don't think it's going to work so great, but we'll be left to be seen. And I think what we're going to be facing, or what people are anticipating, are layoffs and a lifestyle increase. So it might not be the home, but once you take when you're looking at inflation and gas prices and food prices and everything else, their overall cost of living is going to shift. And as a result of that, we're looking at maybe adjusting what they're going to be looking at in the homes. So it's slowing down, and as a result of that, I don't think prices are necessarily coming down, but people are adjusting back to where the prices should have been from the first and second quarter, and we're getting offers that are not just at asking price. And this is the big, I think, the part of this market that is really being confused. People are not making offers because they're afraid that if they're not making over asking, whatever purchase agreements, then they are not, it's not worth it. And I'm trying to get this message out to clients. No. We're a little bit past that. If it doesn't sell within the first 72 hours, you have an opportunity. Make an offer. Yeah. We're seeing price reductions where people are adjusting back to where they probably should have been. I had a lot of clients, and we hear from people that say, well, I just want to see what I can get for my house. Well, you saw, you came, and now it's time to adjust, and they are.
I hope you waved goodbye when it went right past you.
Well, the reality, too, is that these buyers right now, they've written an offer or two. And the buyers that are out there right now, they're serious, and they've got beat out a couple of times. They felt discouraged, but now they're going in with a different perspective, and they're not going in $20,000, $30,000 over asking, especially if they're in line with a great professional like Renee, her team, the RLA team. They are educating their buyers to let them know that you do not have to come in. You can check boxes for yourself and the seller, and that way it's about that team. It's about who's going to reach across the aisle that's going to make that deal work for you. That's not going to just be one-sided for the seller. And so I agree with everything that you're saying. I feel like it's not going to be so much of a pullback. And Michigan is a 365 state. It's been like that. And I love the fact that Michigan's a 365 state now. We're busy, we're changing, but people are influenced. And I feel like that if you're going to stick into it and if you're serious about buying, you're going to reap the benefits, because those that stuck it out, they didn't step into higher interest rates and higher purchase prices, right? But if someone's like, you're waiting for the market to shift, if you're a seller, why would you want to wait for the market to shift? So now it's now a buyer's market and you're going to get less money, right? We're about to get into a perfect storm where both buyers and sellers can win.
Let me throw the number out there real quick, John. 248-539-9797. You're looking to buy or sell. Renee mentioned it. We talked about it on the podcast. Boy, I've had some great closing months in October. Over my 30-year career, October's been a huge month. It does get a little slower in July and August, but the buyers are out there. And again, if you make a regular offer on a house, 5, 10 under or asking price, you can always call. You can negotiate this whole thing. It's not like the end of the day. Definitely a negotiation. Are you getting those calls back from a listing agent saying, hey, give me 10 more and we got ourselves a deal?
John and I are doing one right now.
Right.
I had a property that I secured for my buyer at almost 15% below list, and the house has only been on the market for about 10 days.
Okay.
And the house it's a great property, but it was overpriced. I ran the comps, and a lot of people would have probably not taken that chance. I talked to the agent. We went through the comps. I said, look, this is where I think it is. Here's our case. Brought John in. He got us a great pre-approval right away, and we made it happen. So a lot of other people would not have, my client said, oh, but do you think they're going to take it? Do you think they're going to? I said, there's only one way to find out.
If you don't ask, the answer is no.
Right.
And that's really what it is. And for buyers right now, I don't want you to get discouraged because of the interest rates, right? There's a lot, like you said, there's artificial fear out there. You're looking for your forever home, not your forever loan. Okay.
Right.
I bought my first house when I was 24 in 2006, right? That at that time, the rate was 6.25%. Okay, great. I held on to it a little bit longer and I had an opportunity to refinance. Bought another house in 2018. At that point, the lowest rate I could get was 4.875. We all know what happened in 2020. Opportunities are going to be there. We've been in this business a long time. Like Renee pointed out, we're in a cycle. There's going to be opportunities for you to save money that should not deter you from looking to put yourself and your family in a better position where you want to live.
And I'm not going to give away the secret sauce that we have.
Secret sauce.
The secret sauce.
We are the
growing
secret sauce.
at Capital Mortgage, but we can get you into a home for cheaper interest rates for the first couple of years, and it's a fixed product still. So, reach out to us so we can get you some information on how we can make that work, and the seller can help make that happen for you. So now all of a sudden the seller doesn't have to lower their price. The buyer can get in for a better interest rate for the next couple of years, and the seller is helping to contribute to that so that they can ease into a payment. And get themselves into a successful situation. And like Becky just said, in the interim, between now and 2, 3, 4 years from now, if interest rates come down, you can always refinance and get that lower interest rate. It's kind of so that we can get out of the fear of the interest rates are too high, because they're not, and get into how can we make you a successful homeowner, and let's, like Renee was saying, let your team help you, buyer, seller, everybody work together to get that done.
Yeah, and we're not just talking as professionals. Like, we personally have been through these things, right? We have been in the business for a really, really long time, but personally, we know what it's like to buy a home, sell a home, refinance a home. It's emotional for everybody, right? And we don't take that lightly, and that's why we are empathetic. That's why we take you under our wing like you're our family, because we do care about how it feels, because we don't care how successful we are. We're never going to forget what it felt like when we had that experience, and that's why it's so important, and that's why some of us are in the business, is to make sure that maybe we had a bad experience with somebody, and we're here to put that best foot forward for you, so that way you don't have those experiences. And that's why we take so much pride in what we do and what Renee does, and that's why we align ourselves with people like Renee and her staff.
All right, we definitely will offer you a 5% or under interest rate. If you want to pay points and you understand it, we'll teach you all about it. So the rates are always changing. Things do change overnight rather quickly. I felt that way actually after the first of the year this year. I said, well, wait a minute here. People are starting to have this recession, this inflation thing. It's all getting to us. By the way, it's not officially a recession until the National Bureau of Economics Research says so. Meanwhile, we're
They
still
hit the
paying.
gavel?
Yeah, why was it? Yeah, they hit it. Now it's a recession.
There it is.
$3.89 at Costco for gas. I'll tell you what, it felt really good last week filling up the tank as it did. It was over $5 recently. So again, things can change rather quickly, including your mortgage. All of our clients refinanced their homes in the last 2 years. So again, if you bought a house in 16, 17, 18, 2019, you refinanced it in 2020 and 21. I think we're in that market now, Renee.
We are. And I think that that's really the messaging out there, is that we are still in a comfortable interest rate, even though it feels uncomfortable because we're
Right.
used to certain numbers. But we also, any of us who have been paying attention for the last 10 or 15 years, and if you haven't, pull up any chart, Google it, and you'll see the fluctuation. So we are telling people, lock into something, even if it's, if you need a variable rate, if you need to buy points down, if you need to come up with something that makes you comfortable for now, because we do think if there is a recession, well, the interest rates are going to come back down. If there really is, there will continually be adjustments. So don't take yourself out of the game, but make sure that you have a strategic team like, you know, John and Becky and an agent that's going to help you strategize for today and for the near future.
Yeah, stay away from the fear mongrels.
All right, keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. Of course, this is the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, 248-539-9797. Go enjoy the day. Biking, hiking, golfing, swimming, boating. It's all for you here in Michigan. Keep it here. All righty, welcome back. 9:44 if you're just joining us. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show, again brought to you by Capital Mortgage Fund. You can find us there at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Live in the studio, 248-539-9797. I'm Harvey Freed, Becky Ely, John Kolb. Renee Lasiacho, of course, joined us from RLA Realty Group. You guys are outstanding. It's Keller Williams, the luxury domain office. We already touched on it. You guys got a brand new office. If you're looking for some of the best real estate agents in Southeast Michigan, check them out. Call Luxury Domain. You can definitely find Renee and her entire staff there. They know what they're doing, and that's so important in today's marketplace. You know, boy, Renee, nothing's bothered me more in the last 5 to 10 years than people dealing with clicking buttons, the clickers. They're getting unexperienced people. You can't teach experience. You can't teach communication skills. But worse than that is they're not putting their plan together and that team together. So it's just trying to get that message out to a lot of families out there, how important that team is, your agent, your mortgage person, all those people.
And really, they're not getting what they really need, which is representation. People right now, I think, especially with the crazy, last few months wanting to get multiple offers in and get theirs received, they're going directly to the listing agent. And we can understand the psychology behind that. You feel that you're going to have the best opportunity to secure that home if you go direct to the listing agent. What they're not understanding is that they're not being represented as a buyer. They're not necessarily getting the negotiating that they should be getting, and they're not getting the advantage of having what they really need in that purchase. You should have somebody who represents you, who understands what you need. Your mortgage lenders have got to be someone who strategizes with you, and you should have an agent that understands that. So if you're pushing a button and you're getting some random agent who doesn't know you, who might not know the area, who probably doesn't know the listing agent very well, you are doing yourself such a disservice. And I understand that that is how people are building their businesses, and I don't have any issue with that. But when you're in this kind of market, you need to have a coach that is really going to be the right coach for you to not just secure that home, but to also help you walk away from it if it's not the right purchase. And I think that people are making a lot of mistakes not being properly represented across the board from, start to finich.
I agree with you. I mean, you can have someone that has I have 40 years experience. Okay, well, you're out of touch. Okay, you're out of touch.
You could be.
Yes, you're totally out of touch with what's happening, as well as you could have someone that's just new in the market and be out of touch, or you could have someone that's newer in the market, not a lot of experience, but they hustle and they grind and they're learning their craft, right? You have to know, you got to have those educated conversations, and nothing is worse than when you're in line with someone that is totally out of touch and they're focusing on the dollars, not the cents per se.
And we talked about that a little bit with the shifting market. You're spot on, Becky. I can't tell you how many veteran agents I've been working with in the last year that don't know what an escalation clause is, that don't know how to write a proper appraisal guarantee, that don't know that if I get an appraisal guarantee, I need to see the funds from that buyer.
Yeah.
Don't write something that you can't back up, because I will tell my clients, we're not taking this unless I see they have the cash differential to be able to do that. And there's, this is such a changing world, and this market is certainly no exception to that. Lenders, you guys are changing things on a daily basis, sometimes an hourly basis. Mm-hmm. We're looking at the way that the markets are done and the new ways to secure properties, that if you don't have that knowledge and you think you're going to do it, the way it was done 5 years ago, even 5 minutes ago, right, you're not knowledgeable enough to be representing that client the right way, and it's a real disservice.
I say we learn something new every single day, and if I'm not learning something new every single day, then I'm starting to get out of touch. So you have to make sure that you stay in touch with what the new and best way of getting things done is. That's good English, John.
I think if you're not growing, you're dying. Okay,
Right.
And you can't just sit on your heels in this market. You have to be constantly moving forward. To some kind of degree, right? And that's where, like what Renee was saying, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're aligning yourself with someone that, if it doesn't feel right when you're talking with your real estate professional and you don't feel like they're working for you, it's okay to reevaluate the relationship. Not everything is a fit. And even on your lending side, I mean, sometimes I'm the second call in. I'm okay with that, because I'm going to be the one. I might not be the first, but I'm going to be the last, and we're going to close this transaction. And that's what matters, and that's what we're here to do. And that's the purpose of the show is, we're here to advocate for you, whether it's us or somebody else. Call us. We'll look at the questions. And with someone like Renee, she's seasoned. So if you're putting in these appraisal guarantees, right, she's going to explain to you, what does that mean? And as the listing side, she's going to say, let me see these funds, because what was happening is people were throwing a rock. I'm going to go in $50,000 over asking. The house didn't appraise. And guess what? Now they had to come up with that $50,000. And guess what? Transactions were falling apart. And very quickly, the listing agents that were experienced were like, nope, one and done. That's never happening again. Let me see these assets. You got to put your money where your mouth is.
Right.
Hey, we got you covered here. If you need to buy that second home, vacation home, make sure you get your offer accepted. It could be in Brooklyn, Grass Lake, Coldwater, Jackson, Tawas, Alpena. John Cole, you want to jump in? Bel Air, Harbor Springs, Rogers City. Jump in, John Cole. Houghton Lake.
Gladwin, Houghton,
Gladwin. These are all wonderful cities. If you like Saugatsa, Glen Arbor.
Do I need to get a map?
Hey, we'll also do the other 49 states, too. Call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE. Get that approval letter for your second home. Vacation homes are a blast. Like Renee said, people are checking out a little bit in July and August. Enjoy this. You get one shot on this side of the grass. Make it the life that you want to live. And again, get that offer accepted. A lot of families, as we know, Renee, not only do they enjoy it, they rent the place out. They do the Airbnb. They're doing all these things to make sure they get the money back on it. Sometimes investing with some family members isn't a bad idea either.
We're seeing it all across the board. People are really understanding this. The way that the internet and the world is moving now, it's become a very small planet, and we have so many more opportunities that you would not have necessarily had to enjoy. And also, like you're saying, leverage the opportunity of it being a vacation home, but also being an income asset. Even the growth, if people are concerned about buying right now because the property values are so high, if you're keeping that in your family and you're planning to keep it, for the long term, there are so many different ways that you can leverage that to make it enjoyable for you, but also, like I said, part of your portfolio. And we see a lot of people making a lot of money off of these vacation homes, boats, you name it.
Right.
And it's so great because you get the best of both worlds if you can afford to do it. And we know you guys know how to make that happen.
Yeah, you can put a price on legacy.
Right. And on a lending side, right, you can still buy that as a second vacation home, even if your intention is to use it as an Airbnb here and there. So it's not considered a rental property where you're going to have crazy interest rates, crazy down payment. We can still do it as a second home, even if your intention. It's a certain amount of time that you have to use it as a rental versus how much you use it as your personal space. So just make sure you're getting all the right information and get with the right lender.
We live in the best place possible. Look at it outside. I mean, okay, call your real estate agent, get that strong approval letter, and definitely go out there and buy your first property. I want to throw it out there real quick, Becky. Let's do the debt consolidation conversation real quick. A lot of families, of course, in the last handful of years, now we have a tremendous amount of equity in your home, but you can only truly take on a first mortgage up to 80% of the value of the property. Let's not get yourself in trouble, but do the math and consolidate your debt.
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to advocate, and we talk about this all the time. Your home is not your piggy bank. However, the last 2 years was hard on some people. Maybe you could not work remote. Maybe you overextended yourself with your credit cards. You bought the house. You needed to refinish it. You had to get paint. So now your credit cards are a little bit higher than when they should be, right? In some situations, it does make sense to refinance, pull that equity out, pay off the debt. I have one we just closed last week, saving them $1,000 a month, even with their payment going up a little bit. And their term overall is reducing, but we're still saving them $1,000 over, per month, and that's great for them, and they're shortening their term. So every situation is different, but you got to make the conversation, right? Make that decision. And it just starts with the conversation. And if it doesn't make sense, we're going to tell you. And if it does, great, let's move forward.
Hey, Renee, is it easy to sell a house with a pool in the backyard when it's 95 degrees out like next week? Is it going to be easier? I don't know.
One of the things that has changed again from COVID is everybody wants to see if they can make their own little resort. So the pool has been one of the biggest wants and needs from people. There are so many cool little ways of actually doing that now. I actually put one in where I had to put it over the house and drop it in.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
I'll show you guys.
I just
the
did
videos.
it.
We watch
I'm
them,
doing
yeah.
that right now.
It's great, but
Yeah.
people love pools. Of course, in the summer months, people for a long time thought, oh, well, Michigan, we only have a couple months to enjoy it. You know what? I think
Worth
people
it.
are realizing that life is short, so even if it's a couple months, it's better than nothing. So enjoy it and love it. And yes, we do see the pools. People want them.
Right. Renee, you got any interesting listings out there that you want to talk about?
We have some great listings, and again, we represent people everywhere from 100,000 to 10 million. We have an incredible team, and yes, we sell luxury real estate, but it's really about providing service because luxury is about an experience, not a price point, and that is our philosophy. So it's making sure that everybody at every price point feels is important and represented, and that they are in good and safe, solid hands. So we have great listings coming up. We're price aggressively because, like I said, price is the name of the game, and we put them in touch with the right team members like you guys.
Where can they see all your listings?
Many places. So we have RLA.com, RLA Real Estate. We're on the internet. I mean, on Instagram.
You're on the internet?
I'm on the internet. I'm on the
Internet.
internet.
I'm on the internet.
AOL.com.
Comcast.net. So we
World
have,
Wide Web.
yes, we have our website and, of course, our social media. But for sure, take a look at that. That's where we get a sneak peek to a lot of our clients about things that are coming up.
Okay, so I want to point out something. So if you guys are listening, you're hearing like so Renee and RLA Real Estate, you guys are top notch, amazing professionals. And I don't know if you guys heard it, but she's saying that whether you're 50,000 or 500 million, you guys are going to be treated the same. And she says that with such humility because it's true. She's a powerhouse. She's professional. She knows her stuff, but it doesn't matter what your price point is. They're going to handle you with the same care because that's really what it's about. And that's what separates a professional from a pretender out here in this market. So kudos to you, girl.
Thank you. And we do.
All right, double-digit growth out there. You better get this top-notch real estate agent. You better get a piece of this American pie that we call, home ownership.
They're not making more grass.
They're definitely not doing that. Again, we still hear the scary people out there saying, "Hey, I'm waiting for that price reduction." Folks, we're right here headed into August. We don't see it's double-digit appreciation really across the United States. Southeast Michigan, these gorgeous homes, they sell fast. There's going to be multiple bids. You better be prepared.
Absolutely, and don't be afraid of making an offer. I know it seems crazy, but that's, again, where the relationship is important, that your agent can talk to that listing agent and make sure that they're having the conversations to get you that house.
All righty, definitely go check out Renee and her team, RLA.com. You can check her out, Renee Laciacho. She's one of the great agents here.
Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
It totally does. That wraps up another version of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show. Catch us at Capital Mortgage all week long. Again, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. John Cole, Becky Ellie, I'm Harvey Freed. We'll catch us later, Renee, for sure. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We got Pat Caputo coming up with sports.